Welcome to a beautiful brand new week, the week of August 8th to 12th, 2022 in the market. We are going to be looking at what's happening this week, how the week had closed last, and what we are expecting this week as usual. And if you're joining my session, you're watching my channel for the first time, ensure to please subscribe to the channel, ask questions, let me know in the comment section if there are some currency pairs or instruments that you're trading and that I don't share in this and they would like me to share or to analyze in my subsequent videos. By the way, my name is Oglugbemi. I'm the founder at MS Africa Academy and the Forex Varsity Africa. So if you're looking for where to learn to do trading right, of course, you know where to go. Below this video, there are contact details that you can reach out to for you to take up a training package or learn more about trading. Okay, so let's go. Let's take a look at what's happening in the market. Before we go, by the way, let's look at economic calendar. We're going to look at medium to high impact news expected for the week. We're expecting adjusted current account for yen. That's been done, by the way. This is Monday that I'm doing this, and it was done very early in the morning, like about 1 a.m. GMT plus 1. By the way, all the time that is shown here is GMT plus 1, okay? So yes, what are we still expecting today? So I'm going to focus mainly on the major currencies. Electronic card retail sales, well, let's see what that is, what impact that may have on New Zealand. Well, that's medium impact usually expected on that. For GBP tomorrow, we're expecting retail sales monitor, now business confidence. Let's go. For USD, non-farm productivity, unit labor costs, short-term energy outlook. Usually energy outlook is also usually would have impact on that. We want to see what level is the energy supply, because it is very important for the growth and the wellness of the economy, the well-being of the economy. Very important when to know what the level of energy supply is. Yes, so that usually has some impact on it, and you would see with 3 bills shown here, it means high impact. So let's go expect what impact that is going to have on dollar as to take a look at that. That's on Tuesday. We're expecting that. Let's go on. On Wednesday, we have core CPI expected for USD. Then what else? Italian CPI for Euro. CPI everywhere, crude oil inventory for the USD. All of this we would expect to see what impact they would have on the economy. On Thursday, high impact news that we have for USD is initial jobless claim, PPI, and for you to learn how each of these are, because I won't be going into the detail, we're just looking at what news we have for the week that would help us to know what is expected with each of the currency, okay? So I will not go deep into explaining to you fundamental analysis and all of that. I have courses that teach you from basic through advanced level if you want to learn. Okay, so I'm just looking at what we have this week. On Friday, last week we had NFP, non-farm payroll, which helps to see what the employment rate is and all that. Okay, and we saw that it was higher than expected for USD last week, and that made us help us to see some level of bullishness with US dollar on Friday, and that is still having impact on what we are seeing in the market today. Okay, so let's go on and talk about US dollar. So how has last week closed? It closed bullish. We have a bullish trend with US dollar index. So it is the index I'm looking at. This is the currency index. And we see that this has been bullish, all right? The currency index for US dollar is been bullish for quite a while. But what do we see? 2 weeks before we saw this correction, this movement to the downside, and we also see this bullish, this bearish pin bar up around the resistance. So with that kind of pin bar, a candle having a long wick above around the resistance. Usually you see, especially some movement down. And what do we see? The 2 weeks after, we saw some bearishness. Now, last week at close bullish. Well, is that just because of the news that we saw with NFP, and maybe that is not strong enough? Maybe we're going to see continuation this week. Well, for now, US dollar remains bullish. If we see some big movement in the downside, and especially if it would come close below that zone where it broke out from, okay. So I'll look like at it this way. If it comes break back down below the zone, then I'll be expecting that dollars get weak. But as long as it remains above here, dollars still looking strong for this week. So let's go and take a look. Start from British BTC, Bitcoin. Let's start from Bitcoin. What do we have with Bitcoin? We saw some bearishness for quite a long couple of weeks. And this is, of course, a downtrend, as you can see. You would see that this begin to push down. What do we have? We have correction, and then we have continuation. Now it looks like it's still in a correction, and maybe we are going to still have continuation of bearishness. The bearish trend is not been broken on the weekly. Let's go look at on the daily first to just have a clearer view again. So on the daily, we have today's candle looking bullish, and I have a zone in mind here that I'm looking at. So if that gets broken, to the upside, it's going to be bullish for me. Okay. So I'm looking at that area. If it gets broken to the upside, it's going to be bullish. But if it remains below it, then I've been expecting to see some bearishness with BTC. This is pure technical analysis that I am doing here. For you, you may like to also look at other things. What happened? How does the economy affect it? One of the things I've also seen is that sometimes the stock market, the US stock market, has impact on the BTC. It kind of follows it. If you do some comparison, look at the US 500, for instance, and you look at it compared with the BTC, you would, in the recent time, especially from when we had the breakout of the coronavirus, and we saw that impact on the economy, the BTC had kind of been moving more in compliance with what we see in the stock market. So if the stock market goes bearish, likely I would be expecting to go bearish with this as well. I'm expecting that this also goes bearish. Okay, so we have this. It moved up. This place couldn't be broken at this point. You see that it forms bearish pin bar. Now it is back to that zone. Is it going to break it this time, or is it going to just retest that zone and continue down? That's what we're looking at now. So if it is just a retest, I see today's candle, for instance, closing bearish or not able to close here, maybe the bulls get rejected, then I would start looking for some sell. Okay, that's for BTC USD. Let's go look at gold. For gold is also been bearish, as we can see on the daily, but let's go look at how the week had closed last week. Okay, so this is it. Last week has closed more like an indecision candle, bullish though, but we see that it has wick above and below, so it is more like an indecision candle. The trend has been down, by the way, and all of these are more like correction. So last week was bullish, but that bullishness, how much is it going to last? That's what I'm looking at now. So if this begin to go bearish this week, I would rather favor a sell on this. Why? If you look up here, you would see that we have a pattern here. At some point, we have this head and shoulder pattern. That is what this is called, head and shoulder. Okay, and what do we see? That neckline of the head and shoulder is been broken, right? The neckline is been broken, and what do we have? That neckline is being retested last week, but the buyers got rejected around the neckline. So what am I expecting now? I'm expecting to see continuation to the downside. Maybe some pullback still again to that decline, but what I'm expecting is to see some pullback. It could also still continue up, but if we see some bearish movement and some strong movement to the downside, then it will be a sell for me. That's on gold. Let's go look at USD Canadian dollar. Okay, so looking at USD Canadian dollar, what do we have? This area was like a zone, right? But it got broken to the upside, but then there's a push back down below it, right? But then what do we also have? If I am going to look at it, I'll look at it as a zone, not just horizontal line. Okay, so if I look at this way, so we have like a zone between here and there on the weekly, and this tried to break above this whole zone, but what? It got rejected. So this cannot really be said to be some serious breakout, all right? Because if we look at it, it's a zone, all right? And that zone got rejected. Above the zone got rejected. So we have a push down, we have a correction, we may see some continuation. Okay, so looking at the strength in USD, is it going to last? That's another thing. At the moment, Canadian dollar is not bad, but we know that the price of oil used to have impact on Canadian dollar, and oil is a bit weak now. But what is making oil weak? Well, there's nothing strong that is expected to make the supply exceed demand for an extended period of time. And so that means that whatever weakness we are seeing now may not last for a long time. And the oil price may pick up again. Now, oil price has impact on Canadian dollar. So if oil price is having impact on Canadian dollar and oil price becomes weak, what do we expect? Then we expect that Canadian dollar will also be weak. And if Canadian dollar gets weak, then that's why we are seeing this big price. But we also expect that oil price will don't be weak for a long time, all right? So if it is not weak for a long time and it gets strong again, what do we expect? In a pair where we have one as the base currency, the second one in the pair as the quote currency, and the second one, which is the Canadian dollar, gets stronger, what do we expect to see? We see some bearish move, and that would mean sell. So that's what I'm expecting with USD Canadian dollar. Let's go to USD, Euro USD. Euro USD is dropping. It's been bearish for quite a long while. Last candle would say it looks more like an indecision, but what's the trend? The trend is still bearish. The old trend is still bearish. We may see some correction, but my bias on this is still bearish. All right. Why? Because looking at it fundamentally as well, the euro, the economy isn't as strong as what we expect with the US economy. Okay. Let's look at AUD USD. So for AUD USD, last week had closed bearish, but also it looks like the week before. The week before is bullish, but an indecision. Last week bearish, but an indecision. What does that mean? It means that we are more like an indecision phase. Both of them are not so strong. Both of them are not so weak. So they are just like a tug of war between the buyers and sellers, still ongoing. Which one is going to take over? Let's see how this week is beginning to play out. Currently, the daily candle is still moving up. It's bullish, and let's see how far that is going to move. So maybe we can see some correction, but the whole trend here is bearish. The trend here is bearish. We also have this head and shoulder pattern of the weekly that has been broken to the neck downside. Neckline got broken. Let's see. So we have the neckline here, which got broken to the downside. This could mean correction, and then we may see continuation. So yes, a pullback, a close back below the neckline would mean a sell for a long time for me. Okay, let's look at GBP USD. For GBP USD, what are we seeing as well? A downtrend. That's what we're seeing. It's been bearish. It's pushed up more like correction. Last week had closed bearish, but also as an indecision. And this week we're expecting that it continues down. We may still see some push to the upside, but for me, my bias on this remains bearish. Okay. Let's look at NZD-USD. NZD-USD. So let me remove this line. Well, this is also a bearish trend, all right? This is also a bearish trend which has not been compromised yet. It hasn't changed to bullishness. We have a close below here. It has moved up a little bit, but it has not closed above the last high, any of the last high we can see in the recent time. So what do we say? Still in the neutral phase as well. Whatever movement I see in the week, would help me make a decision on what I want to do. So I will go to lower time frame if on the daily I see some clear bearishness, forming. That would help me look to buy. Let's go to USD yen. Okay, so USD yen, I have this view on this one from the monthly. And on the monthly, what do I have there? I have head and shoulders pattern. Okay, so on the monthly, we have this head and shoulders. We have this head and shoulders pattern on the monthly. Inverted head and shoulders, by the way. And what do we have? It's broke above the neckline. It goes up to the last high that we have here. Broke a little bit above there, retraces, and it looks like we're having continuation. So what does this mean? My bias on this remains bullish. Let's see the weekly. How did last week close? It closed bullish. We have a bullish pin bar there. And usually if I see that kind of candle, it indicates a buy for me. So the bullish pin bar, it's telling me it's what I would prefer to look out for this week is a buy. It's correcting now. I see it's pushing down now. It may be a correction. It may also be that we continue to have some sell there. But let's see how that goes. If we, during the week, midweek, we see some bearishness play out very well, then we can start looking to sell. Okay, but that for now, it's my bias is bullish. Let's see oil. US oil, what do we have? Last week closed bearish below my 50 moving average. For quite a while, it's been above the 50 moving average for some times, and it hasn't closed below it. Okay, at this point, it tries to close below it, but you see that it comes there with a very clear indecision candle, and what we have next is continuation to the upside. But now we have an engulfing bearish candle, closing bearish below my 50 moving average. So what does that mean for me? It means that my bias on this is bearish. It may not be for an extended period of time, but yes, that's bearish. As long as it remains below the 50 moving average, my bias is going to remain bearish for US oil. USD what do we have there? Last week closed bullish. Okay, so we are above this area. This is a zone, more like an inverted head and shoulder that we have there, but not a very clear one. But we have this consolidation that lasted for a long while, and it got broken. Now we have correction, and last week candle and close bullish. But then the week is moving down. We also have seen, if we look at it, the buyers keep getting rejected, and we have a downtrend that formed here. So the question is it going to continue down, or is it going to continue to push up? Well, still in the neutral zone for now for me. So whatever happens within the week will help me make a decision on what I want to do with this. Both of them are kind of safe haven currencies, and CHF is also strong at the moment. So this movement we are seeing, we will try to see how it begins to move, how it plays out during the week, and that will help make better decision with USD Canadian dollar. Let's look at Euro AUD. Euro AUD, by the way, is bearish. On the weekly, we see this had pushed down, it has corrected back toward the 50 moving average. We have this engulfing bearish candle, and since then it hasn't really retraced much. Maybe we would see some retracement now, especially because it has come to the support around here. So we may see some retracement pushing to the upside before we see a continuation again. I would really prefer to see that it comes toward the 1.48, 1.49 area before I look for a sell if it is still inside there. But if it also goes down, breaks below the support of this, I look for correction and continuation to find a buy, to find a sell. So Euro Canadian dollar, let's see, this is also bearish. But we are in a range right now. So when we are in a range, what does that mean? A neutral zone. So we wait to see what direction this breaks out. But then we can also find trade inside of the zone. I teach about ranging market. Okay, so when the market is ranging, there are two ways you can trade. You may trade right inside of that range, finding trades up and down as the price moves. You may also trade when it breaks out. All right, so you want to learn how to trade around that. So the weekly time frame, we have a ranging market right now, tight consolidation of the weekly. But of course, you will know that what looks like tight consolidation of the weekly would not be tight on the 1 hour or the 15 minutes, because you know how many 1 hour candle we have in a weekly candle. Okay. So let's pay attention. Let's see how this begin to move as the week continues. Euro yen, what do we have there? We see that the last week had closed bullish. The trend is bullish now, but we know also that the euro economy is not so attractive. So the question is this going to continue to push the upside, or is this going to continue down, right? So we look at it, it is possible that we see some push down, some correction down toward this area, and then we see some continuation. So for me, I'm expecting to see some down move and then the continuation again to the upside. Okay, but if this goes down and closes much lower, it will be a sell. For now, I feel that there may likely be some pullback and continuation, but looking at this, it's still, the trend is still bullish for me. Okay. Euro HND, well, this is still looking bearish. We have this push down, this breakdown below the trend, below the moves, the waves, and then we have this correction, and which is continuing now. Maybe we can have some smaller correction and before we see another continuation to the downside, but that's what is obvious from the chart. Let's look at Euro British Pound. Euro British Pound, it looks bearish, but what do we have? Yes, last week had closed bullish. So it is going to be bullish. For me to look at this as being bullish, I would need to see it come close again above my 50-moving average on the weekly. But for now, it's bearish for me. Last week had closed bullish, but that's looking more like a correction to the week before. All right, so that's it, and this is how much I'm going to cover in today's weekly market analysis. If there are some markets that you would like me to analyze in the subsequent video, please let me know in the chat box, and I'll be more than ready and willing to discuss them with you. By the way, remember as well to subscribe to this channel. Let's grow the channel. Let's support the channel. All right. And if you are looking to learn where to trade, where to do trading right, you want to reach out through the number below. If you're also looking to find a book that helps you learn to do trading the right way, I have here with me this very great book, Ultimate Forex Trading Blueprint. This book covers all you need to know to do trading right, from basic through intermediate and advanced level. It's hardcover book, all right, very strong, something that you need to keep in your library that would last for a long time, because you need it. It's like a go-to textbook for trading. So Ultimate Forex Trading Blueprint, the money seller's code. You do not want to miss out on this book. So if you do not have your copy of this trading textbook, please ensure to come grab your own copy. You would see a link below the video that takes you to where you can order your copy. All right. Thank you so much, guys and everyone, for tuning in with me today. Please do have a beautiful week ahead of you.